Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of the Harold Katz podcast with our host, Coach Katz. And Coach, let's get right into it. You know, very recently, your mentor, Coach Bobby Knight, passed away, and I wanted to get your thoughts about this.
Well, first, I'm distraught that Oren Glickman is delayed. But truthfully, I was in practice yesterday, and we were done about 7:35, and my phone was blowing up. I'm not even sure I've ever used that term before, but I had hundreds of texts informing me of this. And while he hasn't been of great health for a while, you still never. I think back when I was young, and that just the sheer volume of information that I learned from him was he shaped the way I thought about basketball. And I think he's unique in that everybody gets lost in the histrionics and, his decisions. I mean, I don't want to talk about him after he's gone like that, but everybody knows the history, but I don't think people know. I'll give you one example before I get to his knowledge base and stuff like that and how he changed basketball. There was a kid playing out in New York. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to say the coach's name. He's playing for an AAU team. And through one of coach's assistants, coach wanted to talk to the kid. So I'm on the phone, assistant's on the phone, coach is on the phone, and we call the AAU coach. He wants to talk to the coach. He wants to talk to the kid, but you got to talk to the coach. So we call the coach. Coach is kind of like his guardian, And they're having a great conversation for like 15 minutes. And then the coach of the AAU team says, Coach so-and-so was here the other day, and we have a very robust program. We put out he may be the first, but he won't be the last of great players we're going to put out. And Coach so-and-so had mentioned that he was looking forward to helping us with our program, and he's going off on a sales pitch. And he's going off on a sales pitch. And in the middle of it, coach goes, "Stop. That ain't happening at Indiana. We don't do things like that. So this conversation is over, and let's just pretend we never spoke. And when they ask me why I didn't recruit your boy, I would just say he wasn't for us, to save you the embarrassment of what you're asking me." And by the way, this sales pitch was deep, and it was much more specific than I'm leading on. And I know where the kid went to school, and I know they paid for that kid because that's what they wanted. And before he hangs up the phone, he goes, "Mr. Blah, 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 this conversation is over. Katz, you better call me back." So and he hangs up the phone, and then, like 10 minutes later, I have to call him back. I can't say exactly the verbiage, but he's like, "You didn't know about that, right?" I said, "Coach, if I knew about it, I mean, that's not something I do." I had no idea he was going to spring this on you. I had no, so yeah, he was actually really nice that night after the introduction, that phone call, he was actually really nice. Like he's like, I get it. We get this a lot, and that's kind of the part that people always gloss over. There was another situation where I told that story about Shamel Jones when I brought him to Indiana, but there was another situation where I had to follow up with a kid for him and find out what the kid was doing. Where's he going to school? And we ended up losing them to 3 co-eds and a bag of money at this other institution. And I don't know if it was like a mixture of disappointment and defiance when I called coach and had to tell him. He was like, yeah, that's the way the game is going, and I'm not going to part. I'm not taking part in that. That's not what college basketball is about. It was like this defiant disappointment. That's the best way to say it. Like off to the next guy, you know. The integrity of that issue, he never budged. There's so many like he had he had a kid from Bosnia, and he heard from the teacher that I heard this from coach. Actually told me this story. I heard from the teacher that he heard from the teacher that the kid wasn't going to class. It was right during the Serbian-Bosnian war, and he's like, so and so, you like it here? I love it, coach. He said, you like playing in Indiana? Yeah, I love it. I love playing in Indiana, coach. This is great. He goes, you know you have to go to class, right? And he goes, yeah, coach. And he starts stammering, and coach goes, I just want you to know this one thing. You have one more chance, because if tomorrow you don't go to class, by Saturday you'll be on the front lines back home. It was something to that extent, you know. That's kind of how. But one of my all-time favorite, this is one of my all-time favorites. I went up there for a week. We had a break in my schedule, so I went up there during our break and caught a couple games. And one of the games was a Purdue game, and they got beat. And I mean, the next, I won't even get into. I won't even get into it. But that night, we go to this restaurant. He gets like the top floor, and this guy's got like a fishing rod or something for fly fishing, and that was coach's deal. And he starts talking to him about, he wants to talk fishing, and this guy wants to talk basketball, and coach is not in the mood to talk basketball. And and like there's other guys with him, and the other guys with him start asking about 76. They start asking about yeah. Middle of dinner, he's kind of like, if I hear another, I'm gonna clean it up. But he goes, if I hear another word about basketball, I'm gonna throw all y'all out of here and throw your dinner behind you too. Like I'm not talking basketball. That's kind of what he was like. But probably he's definitely the smartest basketball mind I've ever talked to. He just had a way of you see there. I find that great coaches, not good coaches, but great coaches, get other coaches to love the game. You know, other coaches who work for them or they come in contact with, or, you know, to me, the greatest strength, no, it's not even a strength, the greatest testament to coach's understanding of basketball was his tree and the people who came out of his tree, and the fact that him and his player at one time held, I think maybe they still do. I don't know if Boeheim got past Coach Knight or not, but had the number 1 and 2 winningest coaches in the history of college basketball in Division I. Is a testament to what he was building and what he did, and the understanding of the game. Like most people who watch basketball see the game as a fan, and it's just a game. Coach Knight's approach to basketball was mental. Like, it was they were questions that you kind of had to answer. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't going to settle for nonsense. Like, I'm not doing a good job explaining it, but his approach to the game was diametrically opposed to anything I knew as a player or as a coach before I met him.
Could you give an example just to help those watching?
I'll give you one example. I learned this a long time ago. Like, when you're playing against a team that's playing zone, right? I can't, as a coach, as the opposing coach, I can't tell you where you're going to play, but I can make sure who you're going to guard. So if you got some fatty down there on the baseline, I'm going to bring some quickness to attack him with. You understand what I'm saying? So I can't tell him where he's going to play, but I can tell him who he's going to guard. Conversely, when you play man-to-man, I can't tell you who you're going to guard, but I can tell you where you're going to play. You understand? Just that simple. It's just a very highly intelligent thing. Like, you never hear basketball broken down that way. Especially when you talk about zones, because they never say, well, what's the matchup in the zone? Because you don't have matchups in zones. Or so you think. But what you try to do is create matchups in zones. And there are people like Gino Auriemma who, you know, or Bob McKillop. I mean, I say Gino. I don't know Gino for sure. I'm kind of confident about Bob. Their basketball has been influenced by that thinking. Coach changed basketball in that ball movement and player movement equals buckets. And I'm not saying that other coaches didn't do that. But him and Coach Newell taking reverse action, which Coach Newell ran, and Coach first ran at Indiana, and then turning it into something totally different, which the world kind of knows now as motion. But there are different kinds of motion offenses, but I believe, at least for 20 years, his was the most dominant because it was so intelligent. Everything in it was logical, even if I didn't like some of the sets in it. You know, like there were various sets in that offense. I just chose for our kids to kind of streamline it into one or two essential sets. The one set and then the second set, which kind of piggybacks on that other set. So
but even Coach Knight only had what, 5 or 10 sets that he was working off of?
No, I'm not saying they're not plays now. Don't miss.
No, I know they're not.
Don't misunderstand. Like, he would have like 3 out, 2 in, 2 out, 3 in. They're all still running motion. There's just some restrictions on the post guys in those offenses. So that's what I mean by saying I don't even know if we're talking about 10. So no, probably 3 out. Maybe there's 5 or 6. Maybe I mean, it's been so long since I ran the other ones, because I found that for our player, my kind of player, the Jewish kid that I'm coaching. I mean, it turned out that in college it worked the same way. I found it to be the most elastic offense in basketball history. Like whatever you're trying to get on your quick hitter, it's in your offense. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we have that. Whatever you're trying to get a double screen, well, that's in our offense. You're trying to get an isolation, well, it's in our offense. You know what I mean? Like we have all that. So I know he didn't totally agree with some of the things I was doing to it. But that's okay.
Would you be able? Can you break down where you differed from Coach Knight?
Well, it wasn't necessarily a different, because I still agreed with it, but he wanted everybody to count. Unless you had a direct scoring opportunity, take the 2 count, right? And I think in today's game, because of the spacing of the floor, because of the threat of the 3, sometimes we prioritize reversal. Now, I'm not saying Coach didn't prioritize that, because he did, but it's quick reversal as opposed to hold for a 2 count.
Sure.
So, yeah, sometimes you get in trouble with it, and wasn't adverse to it. Just thought it's dangerous to ignore the 2 count. And he's probably right. It was probably dangerous to ignore the 2 count. But his understanding, so that's one. The spacing of the game, the spacing the basketball has turned into, his look, he loved the cross screen, and I kind of liked the cross screen a lot, but we kind of turned it into more, instead of cross screening for posts. So we, on your way out, come hit somebody with a back screen, or come hit somebody with a flare or something like that. So that he's just the smartest basketball. I mean, there was one. This is a career highlight for me. Was Indiana's playing? What was the first round? Tulane played Duke. I think Tulane played Duke. I think, or Indiana. No, I think Tulane played Duke at the Garden in the preseason NIT. I want to say 94 maybe. And I was with a friend of mine who was his assistant, and he had to leave at halftime. So he's like, can you finish the scouting report? And I did it, and then coach was like, you got to come here tomorrow, which was Erev Shabbos, by the way, in November. You got to come here tomorrow and come to I think it was the Radisson, and we're going to meet in my room at 10 a.m. And you're gonna give me your scouting report. And it's not the first time I did it, but it was kind of like, so I can't look. You've seen my scouting reports, right, Pop? I kind of learned how to do them. I kind of learned how to do them a little bit from Coach, because he would probe you, like you go like, well, Coach, I think we need to take Charlie Miller and put him out. Now, tell me why we need to do that. Does that make any sense? You think Charlie's going to be able to handle the ball? What are we going to do with Neil Reed? But Coach made you think, man. Like you could not get away with just, if you had something in your scouting report, you had to explain why this made sense to you. You had to sell him on why that made sense. And if you didn't, you were going to hear about it. It wasn't going to be just like, I disagree with you. Coach is going to tell you, So I went up to the Radisson and spent the next few hours with him. And I remember after that, we walked to the Garden, and Dick Schaap had met, and Dick Vitale had both met us at the Garden. Not us. I mean, I was with the team, So then when he introduces me to Dick Schaap, when he introduced me to Dick Schaap, he says, this is Harold Katz, whatever. He goes, "Are you related?" So Dick Shapp says to me, "Are you related to the Katz's Deli?" I'm like, "No, no relation." And Shapp goes, "Well, I'd have been more impressed if if you were related to the Katz's Deli." And Coach goes, "Yeah, that's because you know nothing about basketball." It's pretty funny. Anyway, it was pretty funny, and I know Shalom's here, so I just it was a sad day yesterday, because when you know that Lahavdo, and I don't want to make this comparison, okay, because I love, I used to use the Art Scroll Gemara. I love the Koran Gemara. For people who don't understand what the Talmud is, just give it. When Rabbi Steinsaltz died, I felt like I lost a teacher, because he's so clear and concise, and his everything, his Chumash and his, his halacha, everything he did, and his Talmud. It's just like, it'll be 2 lines of Aramaic or Hebrew, and it'll be like a paragraph like that. He's like teaching you like a teacher. And it's the same thing when quotes. That was the same. I had to take a minute. Usually I get my stuff. I leave practice. I go home, see my wife. But here, like, I sat in practice for a minute, and it was hard. It was a hard day. It's a hard day today. And obviously what's going on in Israel it was the first thing that took me out of that. Remember, the first thing that took me out of Israel, and my kids are there and whatever, was Coach Knight dying. It was in 3 weeks. That's the first thing that took me out of the. And then I'm a Jew, so it's temporary. This is a tough day, and I just brilliant coach, brilliant. And speaking of brilliant coaches, Shalom.
Hey, speaking about yourself, I'm glad. Good job.
Shalom, how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you. I really thought I'd see you here, but I'm glad I could see you on the Zoom.
Yeah.
Hi, Akiva. How are you?
Coach, I don't get invited to tournaments anymore. They don't like me. So
Really? I'll put a word. I'll put a word in for you.
yeah, when I talked to Josh, I told him, like, whatever, 2 years ago or whatever, right before COVID. So we're first year, we'll come a couple of years from now. Well, I didn't even know they were starting back up. I mean, I stayed in touch with them every year. Just don't forget us. He forgot us. So, but now we're all sophomores. So we're going to play varsity schedule with sophomores. Are you going after, by the way?
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there.
So you'll get to rotate us up there then, because it'll be
nice. Always good to see you.
I'm sure Joey's going to stick us together anyway. So
Joey's actually on his way back from Israel now. He's actually.
I know it.
We're playing him tomorrow, so he's flying in like right before the game.
Wow. Well, I'm sure he did righteous things when he was there. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So introduce you to everybody. This is coach at North Shore Hebrew Academy. Shalom Babayev, right? Is that how you say it? Babayev, yeah.
Babayev, yeah.
Who, in my opinion, is as good as what they got going in the Yeshiva League. My son notwithstanding. But
I appreciate that.
It's my pleasure. And I've watched you from afar, and then I got to watch you close up. So I wanted to have you on the show for a couple of reasons. One, because I told you a year ago I wanted to have you on the show. And 2,
I remember, yeah.
Right. And 2, it's kind of what I was just talking about, Akiva, about, that people can criticize Coach Knight for everything they want to pull out, and some of that is well earned and well deserved. They can't criticize his integrity and doing it the right way, which is what he always did. That there was more to basketball. This is where I learned it. There was more to basketball than just winning. And if winning's all you're here for, we got to reevaluate why we're doing this with teenagers. And one of the things I love about you is that it's more than just winning. And let's go back. I want people to kind of get to know you. Did you play in high school?
Yes, we played in high school. It was a small Sephardi school called Lev Bunim.
Okay.
In Canarsie, Brooklyn.
In Canarsie.
All boys school, probably about 50 kids in the whole school, 9th through 12th.
Right. Was it part of the Yeshiva League?
Yeah, we played. We were never able to field a varsity team until my um, junior year. We had a varsity team. We had talent. We went 3-11. We lost about 7 games by 3 points or less.
Wow. Okay.
And other teams were deeper, and so we did what we could, but we just came up short a bunch of games. And then senior year, my principal didn't want to go through that again, so we did not play in the Yeshiva League. We played in the Young Israel League,
Right.
which we ended up winning, but the competition is not nearly as
Far less competitive.
the same. Yeah.
So when you were a kid, did you have this, I got to compete kind of thing? Did you have that?
Always. I had 2 older brothers growing up, 5 and 6 years older than me, and they always played ball. I always wanted to play ball with them, and
Right.
you had to earn it. You know,
Right.
you're always smaller, and so
So
you had to earn everything with them.
So you're going to kill this Young Israel League or whatever. But whatever it is, he decides to do it that way. And I know what you're feeling with the 50 kids in the school that you can't field the team, because I think this year we have 23. So we're
Wow.
going to try to put a varsity schedule together with 10th graders and 9th and 10th graders and 20. But I like the one thing, like, I'm not afraid. Like, in order for us to compete with you with 20, or let's say we get to 30 kids, in order for us to compete with somebody like you in 2 years from now, we have to take it on the chin now. We have to learn what it takes to get to North Shore Hebrew Academy. I've said this on the show before, but when we played SAR in March at YU, I mean, we had them beat. And our whole deal was, my 6th man teaches robotics in school. You know that, like, that's what's up. He's like 18-year-old teaching robotics at our school, and they're graduating, more athletes than we have students. You understand?
Yeah.
But in order to get there, we had to take it on the chin when they were freshmen and sophomores. So that's why, if that's the highest competing kids you have, you play them on a varsity level. Sometimes, like in Yeshiva League, they just play 9-10, and that's it. They play no JV. But that's with me, I don't care if I go 2-22 if those 2 games I shouldn't have won. Because if I go 20-2 and I lose 2 games I should have won, they will haunt me. Like, whole off season, you know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get to your, so you get started in coaching after you finish playing high school, you go to Israel or whatever. Did you go to Israel? And
I did not. I had the opportunity to. Parents didn't really let at that time.
Right.
So no, I did not end up going.
So you ended up, how'd you get into coaching?
So I started actually coaching in my high school. We had an elementary school also. So my junior year, I was an assistant coach.
Wow.
For the 8th grade team in my school. And then senior year, I played, and I was the head coach of the 8th grade team that year too.
Wow.
So I started actually while I was playing junior year.
You didn't play for the 8th grade team. You played for the 12th grade team.
No. Yeah.
Because some of these 2 clowns, especially Oren, who just slipped in here, these 2 guys, they played for the 8th grade team. And said, how about me, especially Pop? So now you're coaching in 12th grade, and was your first job out of there, Mag and David?
My first job out of there coaching, let me think. No, so I stayed on there after I graduated my high school. I stayed on there for 4 more seasons.
Right.
Coached JV in the Yeshiva League and varsity in the Young Israel League.
Right.
We won a couple of varsity titles in the Young Israel League, and then the school unfortunately closed down.
Right.
And then after that, I went to Mag and David.
Did they approach you, or did you approach Mikey?
So I was teaching there at the time. I'm the phys ed teacher. I'm still the phys ed teacher there, at the elementary school. And the guy in there at that time was not Spike, was not Ike Dweck. It was Ike Yedid.
Okay, Yedid, yeah.
Yeah, so I was teaching there 1 year, then I asked him if there's an opening, and he gave me the 6th grade job
Oh,
the following year.
was that the year that Ike took off? Was that like
No, Ike was
Morris Sweck was doing high school, and then Ike came in. Did Ike Yedid was doing the JV?
I think Ike was more involved in the elementary school. I think Spike was still there in the high school.
Oh, okay. So
And
it was an elementary school job.
yeah, elementary
Oh,
school job, yeah.
yeah. And then
So the
when did,
sixth grade.
right? Did you end up working for Spike for Ike?
No, so I mean, yeah, Ike is he's the head of basketball there now. He's been there for a bunch of years now.
Yeah.
And my time at Magan, I also did Rambam for a few years.
Oh, okay.
Rambam JV and varsity.
Okay. And so, but you never worked on Ike's staff. You just worked Ike's program.
Just like his program, a year Ike took off 2 years ago.
Right.
I was the assistant there with Benny Mann.
With Ben.
He took over for Spike, and I was with Benny there.
And then
Very grateful to Benny for that.
And then you get the North Shore job.
Huh?
And then you get the North Shore job.
And then, yeah, and then Spike came back, thankfully. He was all good, and there was no room, obviously, on the varsity, and then the North Shore opportunity opened up. So I decided to take it once it opened up.
All right. So now you're, before we get to how do you get started for October tournaments, which my mind doesn't wrap around very well. But what was the program like before you got there, and what was it? Look, you're the defending champ in the league you play in. How many teams are in that league?
I would say about 22, 23, something like that.
And you're coaching the defending champ. You're defending your championship. So before we get there, so this is only like 2 years ago when you get there, right?
Last year was my first year.
Right. Okay. What was the program like before you got there?
Honestly, the team that I had last year, those sophomores won the JV title the year before.
Right.
So the talent was definitely there. New administration, I guess, came to the school the year before, and I guess they wanted to make some changes.
Right.
So they reached out to me. I mean, the kids there, they play ball all year round. It's in Great Neck, so it's it's mostly populated by the Persian community.
Right.
So the kids play there. They play year round. They have the JCC. They have a bunch of other leagues. So the kids are playing all year round there. As far as the program, they always had the talent. I mean, it's a big school. I know they had a few coaches there. The coach before I got there was Michael Baus, who did a good job there. They won the JV there.
Right.
I guess it was a well-run program before I got there as well.
Okay. So how do you take a JV program? You had varsity guys left over, right? But the JV guys win their championship. So this next year, last year, they're juniors for you. Right?
Yes.
So how do you have any concerns that you bring these juniors in who were killing the league they were in, and now you have to kind of mix the varsity guys left over? You're a new guy, right?
Honestly, the year they won it, they went under the radar. Like they went 6-4, 7-3. They got into the playoffs as a 5th or 6th seed, and they just got hot at the right time.
Right.
Ended up winning. So when they came, they're a good, humble group. So I didn't really have that challenge with them, trying to get them motivated and stuff like that. And we never thought of going undefeated or anything like that. We just went one game at a time, and the boys came in to work. They bought in. The seniors played very, very well. I lost my best offensive and best defensive player, 2 seniors.
Yeah.
So it was a very good mesh of talent, and everyone played their part. There was no egos on that team. They all just came to work, and they were a close-knit group too. So that really helped. There was no person wanted to shine and taking all the shots.
Right. So what were your concerns coming in In other words, do I just not screw this up? Like there comes a point
Yeah.
you have a really good team where you're just going like, boy, I could really screw this up. Like I just got to get out the way, right? I mean,
So going in for sure. Going
ahead.
into it, it was like expectations were like, look, they just won the title last year, so it's expected now for them to compete and maybe even win again. So when I took the job, yes, for sure, that was in the back of my mind. But I said, listen, you got to trust what you've been doing all these years and coach the way you know how to coach. And if everything falls into place, you just do your job, and that's it.
So you come in and you start running whatever you're running 3-2 or whatever you're doing 2-3, whatever you're running. Are you running this from something? I was just talking about a mentor, right? So you have one, a mentor that you take stuff from, or you kind of stealing from everybody like the rest of us?
Coaching wise, not really. I mean, my high school coach, he was a good guy. He wasn't really a basketball guy. So he was just there because he took the job because there was no one else to do it, kind of thing.
Right.
As a mentor, no, I try to pick a lot of brains as much as I can. I really like what Mag and David does with their program, what Spike does, what Benny does. They do a great job there, and we try to implement all that kind of stuff from like 5th and 6th grade.
Right.
So I do look at that program a lot and try to emulate a few things from there. So that's really it. I have a very good relationship with Spike and with especially with Benny.
So are you now implementing that all the way down to 5th and 6th grade at North Shore? Like
not yet.
Like I think that if you want continuity in your program, the varsity guy sets the tone for everybody. Like I don't care what my IED says. Like I know like in your league, there's like this thing, you win, you get a banner for 6th grade or 7th grade or 8th grade. I'm like, I don't need that. I need them to be able to win on a varsity level. So if I teach them stuff in 6th grade and use the same verbiage in 7th grade and the same verbiage that I'm using on the varsity in 8th grade, now they're all coming into our JV program ready to. We're going to have to, enhance their knowledge, but they know the verbiage. They know what it means to hedge a screen or to set a down screen, because you're doing that, all through. That's 7 years of that. By the time they get to in high school, they're so that I'm a big fan of kind of laying the groundwork. And if coaches don't want to run it, I'll be like, all right, well, there's an opening at B'nai Yeshua, you know what I mean? I get you. I get you. Until you get my job, we're going to do this my way. And right, that's kind of like. Now I had an assistant last year, and I did. He assisted me, so he used our verbiage and whatever. But it wasn't like I'm going to sit down and man it, because I'm choosing from a student body that's like canteen salesman. You know what I mean? So whatever we could get. So, but he pretty much ran what we ran in a limited form. So I do think at some point, like especially if you have job security, to kind of slip all the way down. And now when this sophomore class graduates this year, the way you rebuild it, I think, is through 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right? Like that's my thing, because you're gonna have to reload, right? Is your JV.
For sure. I mean, yeah, they do. Yeah, so they do have a feeder school. There's an elementary school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade North Shore. The coach there, one of the main coaches there, is he's a very good coach, Chris Corey. But as far as what you were saying, the continuity, it's not there yet. I haven't been able to, on a JV level to a certain extent, but not the elementary school level, which is why Mag and David is really our house almost every year, is because we started there from the 6th grade. That's how Spike wants it, and they just playing the same system throughout.
Right, which makes total sense, quite honestly.
Right. So
And that is how you can get continuity. So did you find so what was so your record in the league was 16-0 or something like that? What was your record in the league? What was your league record last year?
regular season was 14-0, and then we went 3-0 in the playoffs, so 17-0.
Right. So what are you all told with all your tournaments and stuff at the end of the year?
So last year we finished 26 and 6.
Okay.
Or
So
28 or 28 and 6. One of those, 28 or 26 and 6.
right. So is there like a, because I know coaches always go through that. You're 10-0. I lost at 19-0. So I know what that's like. Okay. So you're 10-0. You feeling anything like let's just take one day at a time kind of thing, or you're like, we might be able to do this. Like, what's the focus that you have to give that? In other words, you may have your own self-talk. It'd be kind of cool if we went undefeated, but you have to show them that you're not as excited about that. You know what I mean by that?
For sure.
Like,
For sure, yeah.
So you went through that, and what's your delivery to your basketball team?
So just like you said, I just kept reiterating to them, like, I mean, honestly, they weren't even thinking it either to go 4-0 because we lost 2 games in the preseason Magan tournament.
Right.
So we lost those 2 games early, and then we lost in Satrin to Magan
and David.
To Magan David. So those losses in between there kind of like brought the kids back a little bit, and they really didn't think about going 14-0 in the regular season. So it just, as we got to 10, 11, 12, then I had to keep in mind, like, listen, guys, we just playing one game at a time. We're not going 14-0, whatever it is. Just take this game. And our final 2 games were against Magan David and against DRS.
Right.
So, and we ended up winning both those games, and we rode that wave till the finals.
Right. Like, because I know that at 11 or 12, my 2 co-hosts were probably all over North Shore Hebrew Academy. Like, Pop is probably giving you the business, on broadcasts or online. I know Oren's all excited at you, like that. That's just how guys in your neighborhood work, and all of a sudden there's this pressure on North Shore Hebrew Academy, and all the boys at Mac and David are like, well, we're gonna bust you up anyway, so it don't matter, we're gonna ruin your year or whatever. We beat you in Long Island, you know what I mean? It's like that whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think, everybody says it's easy to coach talent. I'm not sure it's not harder to coach talent, because all the talent thinks they're all alphas. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather prefer to coach with talent, that's for sure.
No question.
But
it's like having money or not having money. Yeah, having money is a problem, but I'd rather have it and worry about it later. So talent's the same way.
I hear what you're saying with the talent. I definitely hear what you're saying, but I say this all the time, and those kids were phenomenal last year. They bought in from day one. There was no egos whatsoever. And the kids just came to work every because they saw the success early, and they bought in. They said, listen, if this is how we're gonna play, we'll be successful. So they just kept going and listening. So thankfully for them, I was blessed with talent, and it was good.
Did you do a lot of different things than the guy before you? Did you stay within?
I didn't really talk about anything within what they did. It was just mainly stuff that I learned or believed in and just implemented.
Right, like,
that's really it.
And that's it. You know what I mean? Like that we're just gonna run our stuff. And I mean, there's obviously, there's this kind of potential confrontation between what worked for us a year ago. I don't want to hear that. That guy's not here. I am. You know what I mean? Like I get that you scored 30 points that night, but this is about we and not me. So I get that that system got you that. We're going to run this system because this is what I know. So that's interesting. It's interesting that you didn't have kind of like a mentor and stuff like that. It's I mean, it's a credit to you. I steal from a lot of coaches. You know what I mean?
For sure. Like, you go on and try to see again. It's taking things and then you got to implement what you think would fit with the team you have.
Yeah.
Like I'm big on like, yeah, I have my fundamental stuff that I like to run, but sometimes you just don't have the personnel to run certain stuff that you want to do. So
Right.
sometimes you got to cater to what you have and work with that.
Right. Um, like I don't want to keep you. Hold on one second, Pop. Would you just try to write me something about we're interviewing you for here?
No, I was letting you know that
We passed our half hour that he allotted to.
no,
us.
we haven't reached the half hour yet, but we're coming up close on that.
Okay.
No, we don't want to wear down Coach while he's in Cooper.
Yeah, in the tournament.
It's all good. The kids are behaving. We got time if you got time.
So, Shalom, let me ask you this question: what are your challenges now? Because now you're defending champs. Guys sow their oats. As a matter of fact, I'm walking the streets of Jerusalem. I think number 13 comes across the street. You're number 13. I was walking with my wife, and late at it's a Friday night. They had come back from the old city, and we were walking. Israel. Israel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
the great synagogue, and you walk out, and then you make a right, and then you go to the light, you make a left on that street. There's a big long straightaway, and so
Okay.
our apartment is like deep off that street, but he's across the street with I don't know 100 kids or whatever, and comes across the street. I think he had a broken thumb or a broken hand over the summer. Was that 13?
Yeah, that sound. Yeah, 13. Jordan Zarka.
Right. And he came. I said, Coach. And I was really kind of honored that he came by to say Shabbat Shalom and to have, he wanted to talk to me about basketball a little bit. And
I didn't know that. No, I had no idea.
Ask him.
I'll
We're
ask him later today.
We're in the streets of Jerusalem. He walked across. It was the coolest thing for me. It might have been like he's probably like really cool. That's Coach Cat. I'm gonna go across the street. But for me, that was really cool. That the kid, that he had the.
He would be that kid, and I definitely speak highly of you to them. So I'm sure they recognize. I'm sure any of them would recognize you.
It was really nice, and he came across the street, and we talked for about 10-15 minutes, and while all the kids are like walking by, I go, at some point you're gonna have to catch them. It is you're still in a foreign country, But
Right.
but that's a credit. That's kind of what I'm trying to get to. Is that's a credit to what you're doing is not just basketball. See, to me, I've said this story before on this podcast, and people are probably sick of hearing it. But I was doing a interview. It was at the YU tournament. There was like 100 cameras and reporters and stuff. We had to do this, and they asked me about, what was this your best year? I don't know. I don't know if it's my best year. And he goes, what do you mean? Don't they keep records? Yeah, we keep records, but if like 20 years from now, my guys are all strung out, they have no relationship with their kids or their families, they're not leaders of their community. What do we do? We won some basketball games. But if in 20 years from now, they're leaders of their community, they're leaders of men, they are good Jews, regardless if they're religious or not, they're good Jews, they're good fathers, they're great husbands. We had a hell of a year. It doesn't matter if we're 2-20 or 20-2, and that I believe that that's a core. That is what I learned from the mentors of mine that made it. It's got to be. We have a vehicle, you and I, that can control kind of what teenagers want, and we can get them kind of to focus on things that are important in life through basketball, and that quite honestly. Just watching you pray was enough for me. I watched you pray and just went, that's a guy I'd like my kid to play for. Somebody who takes things like that seriously, because that ultimately is what everything is all about. You know, what's your connection to your creator? What's your connection to your people? And now you and I both know there are no Sephardim or Ashkenazim. There are no J-dubs. We are one people, all under attack. I think it's fair to say we're under attack in Israel. We're under attack in Europe. We're under attack in America. And now nobody's afraid to say, well, yeah, you're Jewish, I hate you. Like, okay, cool, I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm not going anywhere. It's trash heap of history for you at some point. I know I'm gonna be here. You know what I mean? But there's no SY, there's no J-dub, there's none of that. There's no religious, non-religious, there's Jew, period. End of discussion. Like we have great teachers now to teach us that we're one people. Hamas has taught us that it doesn't matter. There's no distinction. We're killing you anyway because you're a Jew. Born a Jew, die a Jew, whatever. I'll take it. I can live with that. They taught us a great lesson, just like Hitler did. Taught us a great lesson. And that's why it's got to be more important than just winning a game. And that's common. And I'm telling you that, and you're a championship coach. And I get the sense that I got the sense from jump, obviously watching you, that it was more than just basketball. And that I kind of think that, to me, those are guys I want to be associated with. You guys, or guys who are just doing it just to win games. What are you going to do with that? But if in 20 years from now, Shalom, your guys are contacting you, hey, coach, I just had a baby,
Yeah, that's what I talk to them about all the time.
I'm kind of like, my wife and I, we didn't really take vacations. We went to my players' weddings. And we would go, and there would not be a lot of teachers there. There wouldn't be a lot of rabbis there, but I would be there. And I just thought that's a testament to what we do in the profession. And it's a profession, coaching, even though it's a part-time job. But, and you're good at it.
It's not. The hours aren't part-time.
Correct. Your mom and dad, like you're in loco parentis, when parents aren't here, your mom and dad, you know what I mean? And you're great at it. You're an impressive coach. I'm impressed by the thing. I'm impressed by your demeanor. Like, I'm a nut. So, but you're stoic and always seem to have your wits about you. What are your challenges now? Like the guys graduating.
Yeah, more than last year. I think the pressure is there now because so many players returned from last year's team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like expected again. Listen, you have almost the same team,
right?
So it's and we felt it right away in the Mag David preseason tournament. Both my guys, two of the main guys, were injured. They didn't play, and we didn't have a good showing. We lost both our games early.
Right.
Flatbush really blew us. They blew us out by like 20, 25 points.
Right.
So that was a little wake-up call for them, and just reiterating to them, say, guys, it's not last year. No one cares what you did last year.
That's right.
If anything, last year you may have been the hunters, but now you're definitely the hunted.
Got it.
So you have to either, and we welcome that, we'll embrace it, but we got to make sure we're ready to play on any given night, because it doesn't matter who it is. They're going to bring it just because you're the defending champs.
That's so great. Everybody likes to eat, but not a lot of people like to hunt. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like a rule. But like, you're right. You went from the hunter to the hunted. And when you're the hunted, it's a whole, you're everybody's Super Bowl right now. Like the Frishes and the Magans and SAR, they'll always be like this, big playoff team. But the champ is the Super Bowl. Like, we got to go beat the champ. And until somebody knocks you off that, you're still the champ. And there is a not a responsibility, but there's a crown that comes with that, in a sense, where you have your shoulders are a little bigger. And then there's a humble, there's some humility that comes with that too, because you get punched in the mouth over at Mag and David. You'll get punched in the mouth again, whether it's regular season or up in this tournament that you're at right now. But how do you compete for an October tournament? How do you get ready for an October tournament? Like to me,
No one asks you, Harold. It's on the schedule.
yeah,
You gotta
yeah,
play.
I'm saying we're supposed to play our first game next Saturday night, and I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. We're just, yeah.
It's like it's like Pesach. Are you ever ready for Pesach?
No, you're right. We're playing Jonas Singer and I at Hebrew Cat at Berman, and we were talking today, and he's like, our league just adopted a shot clock. I said, I don't care if I get a shot clock violation where we were able to control the ball for 30 seconds, I'm jacked. I'm like, we got a team that can pass and catch it, and I'm good. Let's get one. You know what I mean by that? Like we didn't turn it over.
Yes, for sure.
So, but there's
the small accomplishments.
Yeah, well, you got to take them when you're young, and like that tournament that you're at, let's say the YU tournament. The YU tournament is basically the upper echelon of that tournament is juniors and seniors almost every year.
Yeah.
So the first time I went, I started 3 sophomores, and went to this 3 sophomores, a junior and a senior, and went to the semifinal and should have won that. But I'm just saying, like so when you take undergraduates, like you did, like think about your competition last year. Cleveland, they had all those upperclassmen, right? They had a Fryam and a couple other ones who upper class. You think about, whatever, Valley Torah, a whole mess of upperclassmen. You think about Shalom, they had an upperclassman. You know what I mean? Like there was experience, even Magan, although they had a lot of kids coming back now. But even they had, with Malamed and all them, they're like everybody's, those tournaments are, and your league is basically a junior senior league, right? But there's not
there's very, very little amount of kids play 9th and 10th grade. There are some.
Would you take one, a 10th grader, best player in your school? Would you put him on your varsity? Best player in your school.
Best player in the school. That's a question I would like to have with the JV. Like just to, again, I for sure would love to have him up there, but does the kid want to play up? Does JV coach, how does he feel about it? There's a lot of things that go into it.
My deal is I want the best guys playing varsity, period. If it's eighth grader, I'm bringing his rear end up the board. Come on. I know you don't like to play up because you want to dominate, but I want you to be great. You want to be good, or you want to be, I want you to be great. I think you could be great, but here's how you're going to be great. Which again is why we're playing up, right? That's why we're doing it. We're doing it because let's see if we could chase excellence. Like it's easy to just go play a JV schedule, and we'll be okay if we did that. But now I'm like, let's get ready to win in 11th and 12th grade. Let's. And we're I don't know if this is true for you, but it's definitely been true for me in my career. In order to understand how it is to win, you have to get beat. You have to know what it's like to lose. And some teams like yours, which had a sophomore championship team and now a junior championship team, like it's almost like it's a little lucky. You know what I mean? Lucky and good. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm saying they didn't.
You got to be lucky sometimes. You definitely that's definitely
they didn't have to experience that kind of, But if you want to find out how good you have to be, you got to go play those have to be's. Like you got to go play those guys who are the best teams in your neighborhood or the best teams in your area, and you just play them. And if they beat the crap out of you, they beat the crap out of you. But we're going to know how to get better the next time. I don't know if I've ever told this story. I might have, Pop, Oren. Did I ever tell you that story about that scrimmage where the guy scored 75 points against us?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I ever tell you that?
I don't think so.
Okay. So I asked this guy, Tamir Goon was playing for me, and he was a junior in high school. So I basically have basically a junior team. And I asked the guy, just bring guys. I need guys who can play. So bring some college players or whatever. So it's a scrimmage because right before we play, we want to get tested. So he brings a guy. He's like 6. He's about 6'4" from Cheney State. And I mean, he was a bad man. And I guarded him with 5'10", okay? And in the first half, he probably had 30. And there was a kid I coached at UMBC, 6'10", was helping me. His name was Matt, and Matt's like, "Don't you want to?" And we have a big kid who's 6'4", so he's like, "Don't you want to make us? Don't you want to switch that?" And I go, "No, man. In the scrimmage in the preseason, I want to find out what we can't do, not what we can. I already know if Shlomo can guard him. I want to find out if Shia can guard him." Well, obviously in the first half he couldn't. So we make that switch at halftime. I said, "Matt, I'm going to teach you a valuable lesson now." So we make that switch at halftime. Instead of kids just going inside all the time, now he's going out in the perimeter, jacking threes, and he don't make none of them. Okay? He misses like 5 in a row. So I made the switch. I put the kid back on him. Like, we're not learning a thing from that. I already knew that was going to happen.
Right.
And so the kid ended up getting 45 in the second half or something like that. And he scored 75 points. And, I mean, we beat them in 4 quarters. They beat us in the 5th quarter, you know. And it was like 158, 155 or something like that. He had 75. But the point, well, we were playing that kind of pace, okay? That year we averaged 88 points a game in high school. Yeah, in the 32-minute game. So, so what's the upshot of that, Shalom? The upshot of that is we played a team in the top 15 in Baltimore later that year. And a kid who had a guard that's 6'4" guarded 6'10". And the 6'10" had 4 points, 4 rebounds because of what we learned that night. Here's what you can't do with that. Here's what you have to do. And I like I'm of the belief, not everybody agrees with me, but I think great post play, to defend great post play, you need great guard play. Like, it's you understand what I'm saying? Like, you take your kid 14 for a second. So he's a big boy now, right? A big kid.
Yeah.
To guard him, I better get pressure on the ball. Oh, what are you going to front?
Yeah.
Are you going to front him? Are you going to 3/4 him? Are you going to play behind him? You know, you're going to sit him to this shoulder because you can't go to that. So no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pressure the basketball. I'm going to guard great post play. You got to have great guard play. By the way, another thing I learned from a great coach. So that turns out to be true. Think about your games. Like, when you get great post players, you know, it's your perimeter defense. What's that kid's number? The kid with the headband, the blonde, number 1, number 3.
Number
graduate.
1 or 0, I don't remember.
Yeah, he graduated.
I think 0.
Right? Did he graduate?
Yeah, Ben Fallick.
Yeah, he's a bad dude on the perimeter now. Even though you're sitting in the zone, his ball pressure is really good, and he kind of disrupts things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, to play great post play, you got to have great guard play. So I don't think most people think about it that way, and that's cool.
No, and that makes sense. That definitely makes a lot of sense. I didn't think of it that way myself either, but that for sure. You pressure the ball, they can't get it in so easily now. Exactly. Half the battle is done. Yeah.
So now I can front him, or I can play behind him, or I can 3/4 him, or I can high side him, or low side him, and the pressure on the ball keeps, you know, you got it's like being up 30 in a football game. You just sit and, you know, the quarterback goes back to pass, all of a sudden he's moving the ball 80 yards in 3 plays, and you go like, why couldn't he do that all game? Well, because the defense was pressuring the ball. Now the defense just wants to run the clock out. So and that's, I think, the same thing. That is now I'm man-to-man guy. It's interesting. But why not man-to-man? Because you're basically a zone guy. Why not man-to-man?
So it's funny you said that. Originally, we started in a 1-3-1 last year.
Okay.
Just to apply pressure, because
right.
You know, you give teams time and they'll pick your zone apart.
You got it.
Good teams. So we went 1-3-1 to pressure. We were successful in the beginning, but then when we play in a bigger court, it's tough to cover so much ground.
Right.
So we went 3-2, and I said, listen, I got 2 6'4" guys in the paint.
Right.
I have Ben Fallick up top causing all that havoc up top.
problem.
So I
Yeah.
tried a 3-2, prevent, because teams in our leagues love to shoot the 3 ball.
Mm,
So I said, if I could negate the 3 ball and have the teams look to drive more, and I got 2 great defensive players underneath, let's see what happens. And it worked. It just teams weren't able to penetrate from the top, and once they did, they were met with a bunch of size underneath.
right.
So it just worked. Again, personnel-wise, it just worked. But this year, so far early in the year, we tried it a little bit. It's not working as well as it was last year. So we are implementing a lot more man.
Oh,
Yeah, a lot more man this year. Just
I have a little more respect for you, Shalom.
No, I wanted to. Believe me, I wanted to. It's just we weren't. I didn't think we were that deep enough last year to do it, and the 3-2 was working. So if it wasn't broke, I wasn't going to fix it.
Right. Why do you? Because we kind of try to go a little deeper. If you have a minute, like I don't know what your time constraints are. If you have a couple more minutes. Like what are they doing to you now that they didn't do to you before? Like, is it just the big kid's still back there now? So like, is it the ball pressure on the top? Is it attacking you differently, or?
It's the ball pressure. It's not the same up top. The injuries are still there. I still got my point guard who's not playing.
Right.
It's also the IQ of knowing the chemistry. Defense is a lot of chemistry also. So it's trusting your teammates, knowing where they're going to be. So it's early, but we're still building on that, on those aspects. But yeah, personnel wise, it's not the same as last year.
Right. So so it's not really teams are attacking you different. Like Magan didn't attack you different. It's just your personnel, or did they attack you different? Or Flappers, like, did they attack you different?
I think a combination of both. Yeah, they are attacking it differently. Again, it starts, I guess, with the personnel, and they're able to attack certain spots that they weren't able to attack last year. So maybe that's what's happening. But I'd say it's a combination of both.
That's interesting. Here, just out of curiosity, I don't want to. You know what? I'm not going to ask you in public. I'll ask you in private, because if I ask you in public, then I'll give guys an idea how to play against you. So it's just something. It's something in my head. Like I was trying to tell Akiva before you came on here. That may be the first time I've ever said his name, by the way. But like I was trying to tell Pop before you came on here. Like I don't know another way to the way I was taught the game is so different than everybody else. I don't know another way to think the game. And one of the examples I said, and I apologize to people who are listening before, and I'm repeating it, but like here's how my mind works. Okay. When you play zone, I can't tell you where you're going to play, but I could tell you who you're going to guard. So if you got some big fatty down there, like I said before, I'm going to get some quickness down there and make him have to guard that. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you play man-to-man, I can't tell you who you're going to guard, but I can tell you where you're going to play. So if 14 is checking me on your team, he's going to be spending his afternoon on a perimeter. Because I'm going to take him away from what he does the best, which is rebound. You understand what I mean? And now all of a sudden, he's going to spend his day on a perimeter, and I'm going to make my matchups. Just another example of thinking the game different. Like, have you ever thought about it that way? Like I can't. There's nothing I can do about who you put anywhere in the zone. The only thing I can control is who that guy's going to guard in that area, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're slow-footed,
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. It's a matter of just playing the position depending on where the ball is, and also game planning on who you're playing. So if we're playing a good shooting team, you're going to, shade more to the shooter, close off high post. So it's again, it's a different game plan for different teams, but I definitely get what you're saying, where you can pick on the zone depending on who's playing where and draw the big guy out. Yeah.
And force those zones to match up. And if you go to man, I'm gonna put that guy over here. Like when you go man, I get to tell you where you're gonna play. Right. That my mind only works that way. Like there's no other. I've never looked at basketball any other way than this kind of, some people would say neurotic, but this kind of intellectual approach to it, and just kind of say like, well, that the tongue, it's crazy to say it, but the intellectual part of basketball was the draw to me. I
hear you. I hear
you
you.
know what I mean? It was like everybody thinks it's just, well, roll the ball out and play, and there's so many, what movement can do to change what a ball fake does to change your result.
It's the chess match within the game. I definitely hear what you're saying. I definitely look forward to that too.
Exactly. Well, you don't look. I mean, for me, ain't much of a chess match. It's kind of like it's ping pong. like I hit it over there and you slam it back at me. But I mean that is the price you pay when you take certain jobs, and I get that. Hey, you two guys, Oren, about time you joined us, brother. Congratulations on your first official Memphis Cooper victory as an AD.
Hopefully, my first and last time ever being late to a Harold Katz podcast.
I don't even know. I think, yeah, you know why? Because you're fired. Hey, do you guys have any questions for Shalom? Do you guys have any questions?
To his defense, they had to pray Marv.
No,
any questions I have for Shalom, I could just walk down the hall.
No, that's true. But let's see if there's anything intelligent you have to ask. That no, you don't have anything.
I mean, it's an obvious question, but I'll ask it nonetheless. It was a very successful season that you had with North Shore. What are some of and you're expected to be even stronger this year. How do you kind of, like set expectations to be reasonable and not, telling all the people like, it's still a clean slate. We're not thinking about last year at all.
Tell him I apologize for him repeating a question that I already asked you, but
it's fine. It's
was I on yet? Was I on yet, Coach? Maybe I wasn't on yet.
Oh, he may not have been.
Yeah, I wasn't on yet, probably.
Go ahead, Shalom. Answer it anyway.
Certain things you could say as a coach, and you could repeat it many, many times until they go through it. Like we went through a loss early 2 weeks ago, so those losses get their attention, and you just keep reiterating stuff to them like it's not last year, and people are coming after you much, much more.
Right.
So either you come with it every single game, doesn't matter who you're playing. You want to be successful, you got to come bring it every game, because every team is going to do it against you. And if not, you're going to get you're going to get blown out by 20, 25 points, and then hopefully we'll learn from that.
Did you like, I got a sense like you played at MTA a year ago, and like, was that a trap game a little bit? Did you?
Yeah, it was, because it was like a bunch of guys were out. We had like 4 or 5 guys that are out that day. And it was a close game. They played us tough.
Right. I'm saying, was it a trap game go? Did you guys approach it like, yeah, we're going to beat them anyway, or that kind of thing? And that ends up being like your trap game, like you probably should have come in here with a better attitude.
Mentality wise, I try not to allow that during practice, but yeah, you do get those feelings. The biggest trap game that no one actually really knows what happened last year, because it wasn't broadcast or anything. We played Magen Avraham, who went winless last year in the league. We played them there. They took us to overtime. And in overtime, they were up 4 with a minute to go.
Wow.
At their place.
Wow.
We came in there. It was kind of my fault. It was not a good week of preparation. That was like the 8th or 9th game already of the season. And those kids they hit everything. Every 3 they shot went in. And my guys were like, we were a step too slow the whole game. And until overtime, 1 minute left, like they were like, yo, we're almost going to lose this game, and we're going to end up being 1 loss to the winless team. Like that can't happen. And something just, but yeah, no one knows about that game from last year.
Sean, you could have gone 16-1 and won the league, and that thing would, like, if it was me, that game right there would stick in my craw, boy. like
Sure,
to
100%.
especially keep you from going 17-0. Like that one would have
Yeah,
that one I'd have that'd have been a long summer for me. As a
that
championship coach, you win the championship, but it's the game that you should have won that you didn't win. Those
yeah,
are the ones that bother you. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Do you do scout work before you play somebody? Like do you
For sure. I try to go to the game as much as I can to see, again, time constraints, family, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of games now, more than years in the past, are live streamed. So definitely get on the live stream, record the games, and then have film sessions with the guys and break film down and see
yeah,
what teams like to do. So yeah, that was a big part of that was something the boys actually said that they did more of last year and appreciate it, because you learn that way much more than just
kind of
playing and practicing.
repping, yeah. And do you print it? You don't print anything. You just go over it through film, or do you hand them? Like, what's your process?
No,
You don't
like
put it down
I'll
on
watch the game myself. I'll make notes.
yeah,
I'll highlight the time of stuff, and once I come watch it with them, I already know what I want to go through
yeah.
with them, and that's how we tackle it.
And how many like that your kids are limited in what they're going to be able to comprehend. Like I can give if I give you 50 things, you're not going to remember but 5 of them. So
Yeah, for
you
sure.
have a limit to like if we just take this, and this away, we should be okay? Or do you go like we're going to take this away, we're going to take this away, we're going to do this, we're going to do that? Like, do you kind of have a limit to that, or it's game by game kind of thing?
It's game by game. Also, it's gauging the kids' IQ, intellect level, and to see how much they can take. You obviously go with the most important things,
Right.
but sometimes less is definitely more. And you tell them 110 things, they'll only remember 2, 3 anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
really focus on those 2, 3. And again, it depends on the team, depends on personnel wise. So I definitely hear what you're saying with that.
Right. Pop, being that you are Mr. Yeshiva League Pass, do you have any questions for Shalom?
I'm curious to
Please
get.
make sure it's not a question that I asked already, like your co-host.
Well, I arrived on time,
Sorry.
so shouldn't have any. I'm curious to get your thoughts about depth issues and how you balance the need to dig into your bench with the talent drop off which exists.
So sometimes, listen, you gotta see, every game is different. Sometimes kids are in foul trouble, and you're going to kids who are not usually in a rotation, but you have to. And my thing is this: I try to encourage, not discourage, as much as I possibly can. So, like, I know this game, I need this kid. So there are certain ways to connect with kids differently to kind of get out of them more than they're really able to do, but they don't really want to go down and really dig deep and really work hard at it. So with the talent drop off, yes, preferably you want to go 5, 6 man rotation when you can. But when you see your guys need a break or somebody's in foul trouble, whether you like it or not, whether you want to or not, you got to dig into those rotational players, and you got to prep them up. You got to help them through it, because they know they're not going into it expected in a big role. But I tell them all the time, you don't need talent to play hard.
Nope, that's it. Got it.
You come in, you play hard, no matter if you're the first guy or the 15th guy in a rotation. That always translates.
You got it.
So
effort takes no talent.
yeah, so
It's
that's how I approach it.
It's the only thing in a kid's game he can control is his effort.
Yeah.
And how hard he plays.
Yep.
So this has just been awesome for me. I wanted to talk to you about this for a long time. So I appreciate you giving us, you gave us more than an hour. So that's.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate it. I was looking forward to this too. And when Oren texted me, I immediately agreed to it. And I appreciate you. I hope to see you. Hope to see you come January time.
God willing. Yeah.
If you ever want to come down to New York and you want to coach in New York, let me know.
Oh, you got it, brother. You got it. So have a great Shabbat. Thank you so much. I'm gonna keep these clowns a little longer because they want to bother me about something, but thank you so much. You're welcome to stay because they're gonna go off on something else. But I appreciate it very much that you came, and I want to do it again.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
For sure. Anytime. Oren, I'll see you over Shabbat. Akiva, nice to see you again.
And here we go.
Hopefully.
I'm going to give you the Shabbat Shalom. Now you feel at home.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat,
Thank you.
That was when you work at the center. That's what you get.
Yeah.
So Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
That's all my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Have a
Bye.
great weekend. Pop.
Yep.
So,
How come you know?
first of all, what?
How come why you know?
Well, wait, we got to review the last hour that has occurred.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to be debriefed. I apologize.
Well, congratulations on your game today, Oren.
Not much to celebrate, but thanks, Coach.
Is it more exciting to sit on my bench or Oz's bench? What's more colorful?
I got to be honest, even though I'm the AD at TABC, I still feel like I have more access to you. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, you kind of do.
Yeah, I feel like I don't feel like I'm really in control on the TABC sideline.
Yeah.
When I'm with YMC, there's a part of me that feels like I'm fourth in command, you know?
Yeah, not bad. It's a good job to have if you can handle it.
Right.
So, but Pop, there's a couple things that during that interview that, I just hear Coach Knight's voice, like this is something I said, and it's just like, yeah, I heard that from Coach. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many. There's not a day goes by when I'm teaching basketball that I don't say something Coach taught me. But there's just it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I guess to debrief Oren, we spoke about Coach Knight before Coach Babayev came on. Maybe Coach, because obviously
we can watch it. Screw him. He can watch it.
I'll watch it.
He'll watch it.
Watch the podcast.
Yeah.
No, obviously we want to keep the podcast under 2 hours.
I bet.
No, we're only at an hour and a half right now, but
you want to get.
Well, also I'm an hour behind you guys. So I definitely want to be sensitive to your sleeping arrangements.
But maybe Coach, if you could just give one more thought on Coach Knight as to how you think he should be remembered.
Well, I mean, first of all, there's nothing you could do in an ESPN generation that will. Coach became like a piñata at some point, and I want to say I always resented it, but because some things, like with all of us, I mean, some more than others are self-inflicted. So, my response when anybody asked me was, "You have to ask Coach that question." Like, I don't, but he in the basketball world, he'll be remembered as, not in the basketball reporters world, but in the basketball coaches world, especially with older coaches. He'll be remembered as a trailblazer, as somebody who sort of made defense a priority when it wasn't. Obviously they're the last team to go undefeated in college basketball, and just one of the greatest there ever was. That's sort of how I would sum that up. One of the greatest there ever was.
Yeah,
that's my take on that. That's how he should be remembered, because he is one of the greatest there ever was. There's no, if he's not top of the list, there's not a long list to get to his name. You know what I mean? So and he did it the right way, in the sense that, he didn't cheat. And as I reiterated earlier, that's firsthand experience, firsthand knowledge of that. And he kind of approached basketball different than most everybody else.
Yeah, I was about to mention his uniqueness.
yeah, his approach, his mental approach, and he was very demanding, and I do believe that's sort of how your teams get better, by being demanding. Um, and, his influence on my coaching life is, there's not even enough words. So and sometimes, and this is a bit unfair, but sometimes when you come from that school, you're on an island some days all alone. Like, there's just not a lot of people who see the game like you see the game. So, you're sort of on that island by yourself. You feel that way. You are not, obviously, but you feel that way. And I know, I know I go through it a lot. And I'm like, well, yeah, I could talk to a coach on a particular level, but to get down in the weeds and stuff, he's a major influence in my basketball life. And being basketball has been part of my life for 43 years. It's a major influence. And I cherish even the stuff when I was called, I was called particular names. So, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to get to at least have some relationships like that. So,
yeah.
Does that answer your question, Pop?
Yeah, I think you put it very simply.
Yeah, and I guess do we want to make this like a 2-minute segment? We could briefly talk about YU. Coach, you had the opportunity, I'm sure, to check out some of the film from the scrimmages. What were coaches' takeaways from it?
Well,
without giving away too much information.
Yes. Don't get into too much detail, but just what you can share with the viewers.
Yeah, I would tell you that we're going to be a little different than we were a year ago. People think we're going to be like we were a year ago, or that we're going to be a little different. And it's different in a good way. Obviously, I talked about freshmen, and you start 4 freshmen, and well, now they're no longer freshmen. And I think for the most part, they understand. There's still a lot to learn, but they understand where we're trying to go offensively, what we're trying to do. I will say that I'll say 40 minutes, or 80 minutes, but it's not really 80 because you had some, but of the 65 minutes in the 2 games where core guys were playing, we're going to be we're tough out. We're going to be better. As long as we stay healthy, we're going to be better. We're just playing better. We're running our stuff better. We're focused more. And it looks like they're having more fun. And everybody's on the same page. And that's the hardest thing to do. I'm not sure we've had that for the last 3-4 years. Since the 1920 team, I'm not, the COVID, maybe a little bit, but we were running off the remnants of that team. So those 7 games were really off the remnants of that. And then the next couple of years, there was just too much stuff,
Right.
And now it's it's great, terrific leadership with Gav Landau and Adi Markovich. Adi is outstanding. They're both outstanding leaders. And it started, what was it? I'd rather have a lion leading sheep than sheep leading a lions. And I think we've had sheep leading lions in the past, and now we have lions leading lions. So, that's my take. It's not meant to be derogatory in any way, even though it's going to come out that way. It's just we had issues, and there's a reason sometimes when you win, why you win, why you don't win, and we had reasons why we didn't do it. And I think it's going to be an exciting brand of basketball. I think it's going to be a fun brand of basketball to watch. And in our situation as a people, I think YU almost has a responsibility to kind of let people get away for 2 hours from the worrying or the checking the news every minute or checking your Rocket app or, God forbid who died today. The whole world's holding us accountable for everything. So it's almost like we have an additional job to take us away, to take the people, give the people 2 hours of respite from worry and from what seems to be a protracted effort here, but a necessary one. I did want, it's almost like you can't speak logic to those who hate you. There's 2.5 million people, quote unquote, in Gaza, right? And of those 2.5 million people, that let's just say there's 100,000 Hamas members, right? So either they all endorse them, right? Which is why they've allowed them in power, or they control them, or they want to switch, but they can't switch because they're being abused by Hamas. Either way, the Israelis are not responsible. It's just logic. It's just logic. 2.5 million people couldn't get rid of 50,000 Hamas people, couldn't demand elections, couldn't vote. No, because if you went in the street, they shot you. So they were afraid. That's not the Jews doing that. The Jews wanted nothing to do with that joint when they left. And I remember when they left, it was very painful. I thought it was the wrong decision. It's turned out to be the wrong decision. But I not to say anything during a war, but I hope when the war's over, people who thought this was a good decision take responsibility for kind of destroying Gush Katif, and that kind of thing. Because they, particular newspapers advocated that every day and demonized people who didn't feel that way. That's yesterday, you know what I mean? And subsequently, we've made decisions since then that we're not. And I say we because we as a people. And I'm not one to say like, well, I don't live there. No, I don't live there. So, but they're my people, and that's where I'm from, Judea. That's where I'm from. I'm a Jew from Judea. So it's my home. And they're more we than the Rams are for me. You know what I mean? Like these are my people. I pray for them every day, and I have family there and grandchildren. So it's so YU is our basketball team is going to play a major role across the globe in giving everybody respite. And I do think that it will be a fun ticket to watch. It may take a minute because regular season starts, and but there's something about this group. They're fun to coach. They're fun to be around. They share the ball. Like even being down 17 yesterday, didn't panic. Ended up drilling whoever they were playing, whatever. But there's something to that, and that stuff carries. So I think people have a lot to be excited for, look forward to. And really, I'm serious about this, that the responsibility of the YU guys to give people something to just get their mind off.
Yeah, something I actually know about. Zevi has been trying to organize Friday morning learning programs for high school students to daven with the YU players, and then hearing from YU players giving Divrei Torah.
Is that working out? Or?
Yeah, yeah. I think actually my JV guys are going to be visiting him next Friday. They'll be the first ones to try it out, and
Great. That's
I,
great.
I just think it goes to the bigger picture of how much goodwill Elliott and YU basketball try to do
Sure.
during these times of hardships.
Sure. And I've never seen the Jewish people this way before in my lifetime, where everybody's unified. That's why I hesitated even saying what I said before, because at this point, like I said earlier, we have great teachers who teach us that it doesn't matter if you're religious or not religious or Sephardic or Ashkenaz. Our teachers are teaching us that we're all one people.
Yeah, that's what Josh Kahane of the Memphis tournament, he spoke about that tonight at the banquet, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Josh is right. And like that, I'm happy we got here. I hope politicians don't ruin it. So I think we're a good ticket. I think we'll be fun to watch, and I think some of these fan podcasts are going to have a good time. Mathematicians will try to get in the way and claim that we're not doing what we should do, whatever. But let's see what happens. Rebounding is a little bit of a concern. I personally think we'll be a better free throw shooting team than we were a year ago. And I think we'll be better defensively than we were a year ago. So I'm looking forward to it. It's next Wednesday, right? First day.
Wednesday, St. Joe's, Connecticut.
That's going to be tough because they're
Well, they lose almost everyone from their
from last
Right.
year.
from last year.
so
But even so,
Glenn Miller quit.
you've got a very good coach there.
Coach quit.
Glenn Miller, yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
he's still
Did he quit?
he's got a very good coach
still
there.
All right, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
With
You know what I
Division
mean?
One credentials.
I mean, if Glenn's still there, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Pop, are you going?
Yeah, I'm
Who's
calling.
going to be the color commentator?
Yeah, they invited me to be color commentator.
You gonna have a shout out for me there, Pop?
Yeah,
Shout out to the Harold Katz podcast.
Who does he plug in first? The ultimate
right.
question.
Oh,
Harold
he
Katz
can't-
podcast
no,
or
no,
Yeshiva
no.
League Pass?
Screw the Yeshiva League Pass. He can't do that. You can't do that, Pop. You can't do that. You have to pimp us.
The Harold Katz podcast is more recognized by Division III outlets than Yeshiva
That's
League.
right. That's right. And then
Right.
when you see Coach Miller, you can more than invite him on. I'd love to have him on here.
Yep.
If he
Yeah.
has some time, I'd love to
great.
have him. You just, because that's a brand I'd love to pick. You know what I mean? So, I look forward to Wednesday. Wow, Pop, you're gonna be on the air. Don't screw it up, and don't give up scouting report stuff. Okay?
Kind of amazing co-hosting this pod with Pop, and yet we've never called a game together.
Yeah. What's up with that, Pop? You can control that, right?
No.
Come on, you and Oren got to grab a game during the year here.
We'll see. Maybe we'll do
Yeah,
a
but
max.
then it'll be halftime, and then we'll see like over 100 texts from Coach telling us what we did wrong.
Maybe we'll have a Max Live 25th anniversary in a couple of years. Maybe we'll see.
Oh no, don't do that. Screw the underclassmen. If them two guys who was doing the scrimmage are the guys you're putting on the air, Pop, we need to do something about that now.
There's actually two guys in each half. So which half we
I
talking
noticed
about?
that. I
Have you
noticed
guys
that.
listened to the broadcasters in Memphis at all, or do they sound good?
Yeah,
They're
they're
close.
always good. There's a couple guys that are always good. Josh Thomas. Is that what it is? JT?
Right. He's
Always pretty good.
an old timer. He's an old timer
Yeah,
there.
then there's another guy who's pretty. I think there was some of those guys are really good. I enjoy listening to them. I don't necessarily enjoy watching the game, but
Right. And Globerman's students, right?
yeah, I mean, if I have if I have a problem sleeping tomorrow, I'm going to put on your game.
Well, it's gonna be a tough one. So
Time's your game. Eastern Standard.
12:30 for you guys.
12:30. Who you
Yeah.
playing?
Valley.
Valley Torah tomorrow?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Every single tournament, Valley plays TABC.
Always Valley TABC for the last few years.
Well,
Coach, I don't know if you saw, but MTA was playing Valley today, and Valley was up 22-19, and Valley won 92-47.
MTA, they bring it for like the first 2 quarters against an LA school.
It's about when I shut it off, by the way.
Right?
List
I saw it get to
list
10.
score 30.
I saw it got to 10, and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't, pardon me, fellas. That wasn't going to last.
No.
No, what I mean by that is they just weren't playing good basketball. They were just making shots.
Right.
Valley Toro was just pummeling them on the glass and going inside to the big kid, who I'm glad to see is healthy.
It's been all straightforward. The only one was Milken beating Posnack 11-6.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that happened.
Yeah. Maybe the seating committee didn't know too much about them, or their younger
But
team.
I watched them. I ain't seeing it, but that's.
You watched that game?
I watched some of it, a couple minutes. I mean, I can't really watch a lot of it.
Right. Well, they play Spike tomorrow.
Try to watch Shalom's team play today.
Yeah. So is Abizadeh back? Did he play?
Is that 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there. I think so.
So Pop, who's the lone person who's out now? Zarka?
Who's the guard? Yeah.
The point guard's still not there. So,
Coach, I don't know if you saw tonight, MYHSAL was playing Or Yisrael, and a kid
first of all, you told me that, and I asked you why. And
right.
Watching that,
well, a kid at Or from 36 points despite having a cramped leg.
Rosazada?
Yeah.
It had to
but
be
they
him.
Still lost. They lost in double overtime.
Oh, MYHSAL.
What did that 36 do for him? Thanks, Pop. That's my point. In other words, if that guy has a trainer, his trainer's all over Twitter now pimping that kid.
If MYHSAL only beat Or Yisrael by only 1 in overtime, the Crews are probably not so strong.
Well, I mean, you're talking like a.
Well, if you watch the Whitkus pod, you can see where they're ranked in the power rankings.
I promised myself that I would watch.
Yo, Pop, are you pimping somebody else's podcast?
I just wanted to see your reaction.
You can't be doing that, dude.
I made myself a promise that I would watch it with Coach once we're together.
And I made you a promise that we ain't never gonna be watching that when we're together.
No. We got to work on some. I want to get Zim on. I want to get Zim.
You get him on. I'll take him.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
It's midnight for you guys. All right. So
for us,
I didn't bring in the show, but I will.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, I gotta close the show because you came late.
Sorry. All right.
Let the guy do his job, Pop.
All right, Oren can close the show.
All right. Well,
look how altruistic.
Special thanks to Coach Shalom for spending some time with us. This is Oren Glickman signing off from Memphis, and Coach signing off from Baltimore, and Pop signing off from the Heights. And we'll be back hopefully within the next week with another episode of the Harold Katz podcast. Thanks so much, guys. Good night.
Guys.